My name is Vince McIntyre. I'm 67 years old. In my mid 40s, I decided, this work that I'm doing is totally meaningless to me. I decided I'm going to try not to have to do this. And that's when I decided to farm. My childhood was, I have fond memories of my childhood and going, and everybody had tractors. And we did. My father, he was a horseman. And a neighbour of ours, when I was probably about 5 or 6 years old, got a tractor, and we were so taken with that it was new, something new, yeah, something mysterious. And I remember my dad wanted to drive this tractor because he used horses. He never used it, so the owner of the tractor let him on there, and I guess there was a mowing machine on the back, and my dad gets on the tractor and shows him, puts it in gear, and then off he goes down. It was a steep bit of ground. It was a bad choice. And then I see him going down the hill, and then he's pulling back on the steering. just Fortunately, the mowing arm flopped down and hooked behind a bank or something like that and stalled him. It was in low rev. That's some of my first impressions of machinery. Yeah. In 1979, I went to an old farmer in the Cusp, and I went into his. I went to buy vegetables of him in 1979 because my girlfriend knew about him, and I walked into his farmyard on Halloween, and it was like going back 100 years. That's when I decided that this is what I was going to do. I wanted to go work for him, but he wouldn't have it. He was just so organized in his own system. But that's when I changed my mind about farming. That's when I thought, hey, I might do this someday. To me, the biggest tragedy is that there's people today that they don't know why they're alive. I think that when you look at what industrial farming has done to people and made them so dependent. Like you go to Central America or Mexico, and most of like I was in Mexico like in the 1960s, and up in the mountains there was lots of people and lots of little plots of land and gardens, and you see people coming down with their loads of stuff for the market. And today it's all industrialized, pretty much. So all the people are gone. They're gone to Mexico City to work in plastic factories, and that's supposed to be an improvement, When we depend on an industrial system for our survival, we might protest all that and think that we're defeated and so on, but it still works, eh? But if we want to get our power back and be able to do things for ourselves and not pay other people to live our lives for us, we have to be devoted. We have to learn stuff and stick with it. And when I come to farm myself, and I like horses, and I like the idea of horse farming, and it's a clean way to do it, and it also takes a lot of skill. I think it's a lesson right in the horses. It keeps you humble, because with a tractor, people get on a big machine and they have that power. With a horse, you have to be polite. You have to ask them. You have to get their willingness and attention. And I'm an old man, and I suppose if I had spent the last 20-some years sitting on a tractor, I wouldn't be as strong as I am today. And so that's people go and exercise. I don't do that. I do my work. Going out there crawling rows in July is hard work. And if you're doing it just because you're going to get $11 an hour, it's not enough for that kind of work. But if you're doing it so you can learn to do it well and someday do it yourself, then it's worth your while doing it. I go out there and I do what I can, and if it doesn't work, I've tried. Yeah. And I want to be human. I want to be, not too focused on business or money or any of that. I'm not into that. I prefer to do things the more uncertain way. I just someday maybe decide that, hey, I've had enough. Like you're arm wrestling and you and you figure, well, I can't beat him and he can't beat me, so let's give up. So that's probably the way I'll go down.